Saturday, November 25th. President Roosevelt orders the setting up of 2 U.S. bases in the Antarctic, one in the east close to Charcot Island, and the other in the west in the Bay of Whales. 120 men, mainly military personnel, form the 2 expeditions charged with tracing the limits of the continental coast and occupying an area of the territory. In 1938, on the initiative of Hermann Göring, the Third Reich sent an Antarctic expedition and colonized an area known as Neuschwabenland, where small submarine supply bases were established. In Europe, Luftwaffe Arado 196 and Heinkel 115 planes drop mines off the Swedish coast. The commander-in-chief of the Soviet forces concentrates 4 powerful armies along the Finnish border. The Finnish army has only 12 infantry divisions, 40 tanks, and 160 planes. But the veteran Marshal Carl Gustav Mannerheim knows his men and the advantage of fighting on home territory. U-28, captained by Gunther Kuhnke, sinks the merchantman Royston Grange, and U-43, commanded by Ambrosius, sinks the Uxmouth, both sailing under British colors. Sunday, November 26th. The Soviet press, taking a leaf out of Goebbels' book, heavily criticized the attitude of the Finnish government, while Soviet troops infiltrate the neighboring country from where they shell the Russian locality of Manilia. Using this as a pretext, Stalin accuses the Finns of killing 4 Soviet soldiers and demands that the Finnish soldiers stationed on the frontier withdraw 25 kilometers for his armies to occupy this territory. Despite lacking allies and armaments, the Finnish Prime Minister Aimo Karlo Kajander rejects the Soviet demands, hoping to avoid conflict through diplomacy. In Berlin, Goebbels tries to ensure that national newspapers and foreign correspondents do not highlight Hitler's interest in Soviet moves, so as not to upset the suspicious Stalin. In the Sea War, the Polish cargo ship Pilsudski hits a mine and sinks off the east coast of Britain. 10 crew members are killed. Monday, November 27th. Hitler orders all Aryan citizens living in the Third Reich who are married to Jews to divorce within a year. The Poles are the first victims of these Nazi regulations. Moreover, all of those working in Germany and the occupied territories are forced to wear a triangular badge with P on it. Himmler and his SS henchmen persist with their campaign of Germanization, distributing thousands of leaflets that inform Germans they belong to a superior race, while the Poles are inferior beings. The Finnish government accuses Stalin of organizing the Manilia incident to try to provoke a conflict. Given the fact that they have excellent economic relations between Germany, the Finns request Hitler's mediation to try to avoid war. But the Nazi leader is willing to sacrifice Germany's good relations with the Finns to maintain his special relationship with the Soviet Union. For the moment, his ambitions are the west of Europe. In the Sea War, U-48, commanded by Herbert Schultz, sinks the Swedish merchant ship Gustav E. Reuter. Tuesday, November 28th. In response to the mining of its coastal waters, the British government decides to establish a naval blockade in the North Sea on ships sailing with imports to or exports from Germany. Hitler orders Dönitz to increase the number of U-boats patrolling the area. The head of the U-boat Waffe tells the Nazi leader of the problems his submarines are having with torpedoes. The magnetic firing pistols have failed to work, and in some cases, torpedoes have exploded either too early or not at all. This is causing tension among U-boat crews and commanders, as on a number of occasions they have been located and chased by enemy ships. In Moscow, the Soviet government, using recent events as a pretext, rips up the non-aggression treaty signed with Finland in 1932. Stalin and the Red Army General Staff decide that the invasion of the neighboring country will take place on the 30th. The Australian government decides to send the 6th Infantry Division to join the British Expeditionary Force on French soil. Wednesday, November 29th. In his latest directive on the war, Hitler states that Britain is the cause of all Germany's ills and therefore must be defeated once and for all. The naval and air forces of the Third Reich are to step up attacks on maritime traffic, supplying the British Isles. And once the Anglo-French army is defeated, the Luftwaffe will have airfields on the coasts of Europe from where they can easily reach the big British cities. In Spain, General Franco's government, though officially neutral, authorizes German warships to put into Spanish ports for supplies. The Soviet government breaks off relations with Finland, and Foreign Minister Molotov announces the country is preparing for war. The Air Force gets ready to bomb Helsinki and other important Finnish cities. The leaders of the Red Army do not see many difficulties in the invasion, as they can count on 26 divisions. In the Sea War, the British cruiser HMS Diomed sinks the German merchant ship Eiderwild off the coasts of the United States, while the British cargo ship Ionian goes down after colliding with a mine laid by U-20, commanded by Karl Mohle. Thursday, November 30th. 140,000 Soviet soldiers, supported by 800 planes, 1,500 tanks, and 900 artillery pieces, plus naval forces, attack Finland. Field Marshal Karl von Mannerheim meets the invasion with thousands of reservists who struggle against the Soviet colossus. The Winter War has begun, and in the West, it is feared that the Finns will face the same fate as the Poles. However, Mannerheim's forces have two big advantages: their knowledge of the terrain and their ability to ski, which enables them to carry out rapid ambushes of the Red Army. The Molotov cocktail, named after the Soviet foreign minister, is a bottle containing petrol fuel with a cloth wick. It was used in the Spanish Civil War, and the Finns use it to great effect against Soviet armored vehicles. Stalin's Air Force bombs Helsinki, and the capital's hospitals are unable to attend the number of wounded. Meanwhile, the Soviet troops' lack of preparation to fight in temperatures of 40 degrees below zero and in complete darkness is exposed. Hitler has no doubts about the fate of Finland. The pact with Stalin gives the Soviet leader freedom of action. The Ministry of Propaganda and the Reich Foreign Office refuse to comment on the situation. The governments of Norway, Sweden, and Denmark declare their neutrality. The Finns can only hope for help from Britain, France, and the United States.